we got a lowdown on a new Christmas tree farm. Not new necessarily, but new to us. So we already have our Christmas tree for this year, but we're going out to check it out for next year.
A little reconnaissance.
Christmas tree reconnaissance.
That's really good. As a kid growing up, Gina's family always went and cut down live Christmas trees, and so ever since we've been married, it's been an annual tradition that we've gone and done that, even when it was just the two of us before we had kids. But once we had kids, it became a lot of fun to make our annual trip. When we first moved to Kansas City, we couldn't believe our luck. There was a Christmas tree farm literally 2 miles away from our house, and it was a really nice Christmas tree farm. And we'd be able to go there and pick out a nice tree and be home within half an hour. Then that one closed up. And we started going up to Santa's, I want to call it Santa's Little Helper, but that's not what it was. Santa's farm, Santa's reindeer, Santa's something or another, up in Steve Holt, up in Holt, Missouri. And that was a great farm. And then after a few years, it also closed up. So then we've been going to Folks Farm up near Platte City, and that started out great, and we were always able to get a decent tree from there. But over the last couple of years, the tree selection has gotten smaller and smaller, and they prune up their trees quite a bit up there, so they're kind of narrower trees, so we haven't been able to get as full of a tree as we'd like to get. This year, Henry opted out of joining us for our annual trek, and Hero's boyfriend Brian joined us, so it was nice to have some fresh blood there. But when we went to Folks Farm, we literally only had 2 trees to choose from. It was pretty picked over, and we went the Saturday after Thanksgiving, and the selection has just been pretty small. I was slightly worried that I hadn't checked to make sure there was still water in the bucket in the Christmas tree out here, and went to bring it in, and unfortunately the water that was in the bucket froze around it, so we'll bring it inside, thaw it out a little bit. It's not that cold, it's in the 40s, but I guess once it freezes it stays on the back of the house here and the sun doesn't get to it, so it stays cold enough. After the slim pickings this year at Folks Farm, we literally only had 2 trees to choose from, and those were just kind of between okay and all right. Neither we were like, yes, that's the tree. We decided it's time to make sure we start shopping around to try to find a different farm for next year with perhaps a little bit more selection.
What criteria would make you think, okay, this is the new one for us?
I I like the place where we go now, but I feel like they prune the trees super narrow, and we're always trying to find something at least with a little bit of fullness. So I don't know if it's the kind of trees they're growing or their pruning technique, but
We like big bone trees.
yeah, I like something with a little more width, not such a column.
I feel like the last few years, maybe we're getting bigger, but I feel like the trees are just getting smaller and smaller, both height-wise and that fullness-wise.
I think the demand for live trees has grown, and especially this year. I think every place has just got overrun the very first weekend they were open, and so even though we went on the second day they were open, it was so picked over already. They sold over 500 trees the first day. So
Yeah, we had a choice of one tree basically.
yes,
There were two, and it was
there was over 6 feet tall.
yeah. It wasn't between good and best. It was between and okay.
Grab it before somebody else does.
Yeah. This is it. All right.
Oh, beautiful day. Who cares? It always good. That's a Vilgo pine. I don't think that's what it actually is. Vilgo.
So what's your assessment of Fort Osage Farms and White Pine Wedding Center?
I definitely would come back here next year.
They had a lot of
I mean,
good
even though he said
variety.
they're going to have shorties, I think the other place has shorties, so
Right.
I'd rather have the variety and the less manicured look of a lot of these.
Yeah. Yeah, so he said he may not have some in the right size next year, but 2022, he said, looking good. If we couldn't find anything in the field, I'd get one of those Douglas firs for a year or two. Well worth the reconnaissance trip.
For sure. And a beautiful day.
It is a beautiful day. It's a fun day for us to be hobbling around out of the field.
What are some of your holiday traditions? I'd love to hear about them. Leave them down in the comments down below.
Oh, it's very nice. Oh my god. She's holding you up even stronger than you are holding me.
She does gymnastics for a living.